Don't know that? It speaks to the emptiness that characterizes our politics. And of course, we are enjoying it. It's fun. We are seeing all these debates. We make decisive decisions, and then they interpret, they analyze, they become analysts. How do you live in a country and you're only an analyst? You don't shape the politics of your home state. You don't shape the politics even your. If you are an analyst and you are obsessed with to be analytical every time, you don't do anything. It basically means you are going to find yourself, your children are having lunch and you are analyzing how they are eating. You are going to end up analyzing your wife, and before you know it, people have finished eating and you're not doing anything. So it's good to engage with you, activists. It's good to engage with you, friends of the media, so that we can have this conversation. Now, one of the things that you get to realize with our activism and our programs of action is that it is always underpinned by tactical sophistication. So what we do all the time is that, so this is an objective. How do we win? How do we lose? At one point, do we declare victory? So one of the victories that we want already to declare here is that for the first time in the history of Namibia, 29 years after independence, we are actually talking about a mayor of a city, or a mayor of a town, or a mayor of a village council. For 29, you never had this conversation. Show me evidence. You never had this conversation about who's the mayor, because the system projects a narrative that you cannot ask. You cannot have an engagement about who's the mayor. And in fact, they display their ignorance. Then they are saying, no, you don't vote for mayor, it's a list and things. We know about that. We want people to have a conversation about the mayor. And in fact, because of the design of the system, it's very difficult. SWAPO can't tell you for the next five or 6 months, they are never going to tell you who's going to be their mayor, because of the design of the system. Their primaries are only going to happen about September, August next year. They can never tell you who's going to be a mayor, because the system is arranged in such a way that you are ignorant about these basic issues. You don't get to participate on who becomes a mayor. So we're going to see for how long are they going to be saying, if they are going to oppose what we are proposing, who are they proposing? Who are they bringing forth? So they must bring whoever is their candidate so that we are able to engage in discourses, so that we are able to do that, because they don't actually know who is going to be in the town council of the city of Windhoek. They actually, how do we live in a capital city that is going to be governed by chance? We are already saying in September, yeah? September to September is a year. The elections are only in November next year. We are already engaging you and saying, this is what we want to do for our city. Okay? So, already this, Gisela, I can hear you. Already what is basically happening is that you now have an opportunity as ordinary citizen to discuss mayorship. You never had it for 30 years. So to us, that is very important. That's what makes politics cool. A young man who's a waitress, who's not interested in singing song, must actually find politics fashionable. That's what we want to do. An artist must find politics fashionable. A young people in the salon must have conversation about who's going to be mayor, what is going to be happening. Politics must never be about those people who talk about exile. And it's so bad that in the narrative about politics nowadays, you find young men and women, instead of engaging, just normally how you engage about on the subject of politics, you think, you just, oh, so what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to take over? You see, comrade, that matter is complex. You must be able to understand the balance of forces and all those things. And it's a language that alienates. So if you can't engage in that language of so-called balance of forces, if you can't use the word comrade, yeah, therefore you cannot engage in politics. So we are making politics fashionable so that you can speak about politics in your own way. You must be able to see, as a resident of Windhoek, yeah, how is it that I'm going to benefit from this thing? That is why we have 5 distinct themes that we are focusing on in terms of articulation of what we want to do. Obviously, one of the things that we want to do is housing. If I'm a failure in my own life, if I will not be able to do anything for anybody, I at least want to do one thing. And that thing that I want to do is that for that child who sleeps in the same bedroom with their parents, with real opportunity of seeing their parents having sex. If I can just get a house for that family, that will be enough for me. That is all I want to do. So we speak about housing as human dignity. If we can just do a serious transformation of housing and be able to count what is it that we do in the life of somebody, that is what is going to be quite important for us. So we have housing obviously as priority above priority. The other thing that we have is happiness. So I think 6 months ago when we were having conversation with some of our colleagues about happiness, they can't understand, but how can you talk about happiness? Because happiness is an elusive, is unmeasurable. How do you say that you are concentrating on happiness? It's again this laziness and the nature of our politics. In the United Arab Emirates, they appointed a minister of happiness. You see, you are laughing because it doesn't make sense to you. Because the system is arranged in such a way that you think is abnormal. So have you ever just driven a car one day? You are just driving and then you just see this guy walking closer to the road, and then the guy goes in the road. And then what you do, your response, you start hooting, hey, move Scott, what? You start insulting this person. But what is happening psychologically to this person? To this person, if you lose your ID, you go to Home Affairs, isn't it? If you want to go to school, you go to Ministry of Education, you go. But if you are heartbroken, where do you go to? If you tried everything, you applied for tenders, you send your CVs everywhere, where do you go to? What government agency do you go to? So part of the social manifestation of our problems that we face is because our society is not concerned about the social aspect. Yeah? It's not concerned about the social aspect, the feelings of people. So how do you feel? You find somebody who's saying that no, you are evicted because the land is not yours. Yeah? So you must follow the rules. So therefore you can't be, your house is going to be demolished. Law have become so important to people, such that nobody is actually concerned. Because I violated the law, it means I must go hungry. Because I violated the law, it means that my humanity is no longer important. So you would understand when we begin articulating some of the things that we are talking about, that we want to engage you. We want to engage in a narrative that speaks to this aspect of happiness. Yeah? How do we assure happiness? For a young man who's just interested in entrepreneurship, how do we make sure that this young man is happy? Okay? So you would see some of those articulations that we're talking about. Also employment. How can we have a capital city that is weaker? Ongwediva is more stronger than Windhoek. How do we explain something like that? We can't have a situation where Windhoek is more stronger than Ongwediva is more stronger than Windhoek. The other thing that we're also talking about is decoloniality. So we are also having this aspect of decoloniality because decoloniality is very important to us. If we are saying this is your room, how can it be your room if you don't have how can it be your room if you don't have the key? How can it be your room if you don't determine what type of bed sheets are going to be there? How can it be your room if you don't determine, if you are unable to close it when you have to go and do something? So decoloniality speaks about knowledge and competence of self. If it's yours, there must be manifestation that is yours. You would even think that decoloniality will have a biological manifestation in a sense that if the child is yours, there must be some sort of resemblance. So that is basically what we are doing. So it's true that we are taking over the city of Windhoek. It is true that I'm contesting for mayor of the city of Windhoek. It is true that I'm not going to wear that chain. So, not that I'm lazy and the chain is heavy or anything, but why do you need to wear a chain in order to show compassion, in order to build a home for somebody? Why do you need a chain in order for you to come and really provide development, employment, and happiness to the people. Okay? So what we are basically doing is that we are not going to do things as usual. That's why we are calling it a radical transformation. I'm not here to tell you nice things so that you can like. I'm here to tell you what we want to do. So activists have already explained the journey that we've come. We literally thought the system is going to correct itself. We were in the SWAPO Youth League. We understand the SWAPO dynamics. We understand the opposition parties, and some of them have been around for the same time as SWAPO has been around. So we understand the politics of this country very well. So when we speak of radical transformation, Windhoek radical transformation, that basically means that he who was God becomes dog, and who was dog becomes God. So we want to change the tables. And one of the first things that we want to send out a message is that, I mean, between now and November, it's about a year and 3 months. We just want to send a message to all the elites. If the ministers are your uncle, please help them to pay their bills already.
That's true.
So they don't pay their water and electricity, they don't pay their rent and taxes because they can just call those guys. But if they see that it's Zacchaeus, and Zacchaeus have not paid for their water, they are going to cut off your water. And again, because of the lack of tactical sophistication among Namibians, even journalists are writing about a water bill going to 100,000. How do you have a water bill going to 100,000? So it's not about who paid the water bills, it's about how does a water bill, you remember that the bills that you owe, how does it move from 100 to 200, to 200 to 300, 300 to 1,000, 1,000 to 50,000, 50,000 to 100,000? And the water is still running. Are you running an irrigation program? So that basically means that we do know for sure that there are ministers who owe. So our message is that you still have enough time to pay your water bills. You still have enough time to pay for your rent and taxes, because we are going to cut those. We are going to cut some of those things when we take over, and we are definitely going to take over. So one of the first things that we want to do as part of the WRT political intervention, we want to take meetings of council. We want to take meetings of council to Ochomwise. Yeah? The Local Authority Act says that meetings of council are public. But the Local Authority Act doesn't say that meetings of the town council, of a local authority, are public and can only take place in the chamber. So we can literally take a hall in Ochomwise, take a hall in Kuriangaba, and have councillors meeting there and have their discussions there. So those are one of the political interventions, so that people can get to understand it, because it's easier for you to make decisions that are self-serving in the chamber. Now imagine if there's an agenda for Korea Hub. Some houses must be demolished in Korea Hub, and that meeting take place in Korea Hub. That basically means the person whose home is likely to be demolished would also be sitting in the meeting, because we are having a meeting in a place nearby. So those are the type of interventions that we want to do. When you go just between Hilton and the city of Windhoek, you see a statue that has been standing maybe for probably 70 years. It's a statue of Kurt Francois, from Kois, or I can't pronounce it. He's a German soldier. Yeah? So, I mean, the Germans came here in 1800s. How is it possible that it's going to have, he would have discovered Windhoek? It's not possible for that Kurt guy to have discovered Windhoek, because even in our indigenous languages, there are names. In Damara, there are names called Taika, isn't it? Huh? In Ocherero, they call it Oshomwise. How do you discover? How do you go to another country and discover a place? So we're going to remove that guy, probably in the first 2 weeks. probably in the first 2 weeks of taking over. And what I'm going to be doing, since I'm participating in this boxing thing, I would already be there. I passed by the statue yesterday just exercising. Because how we want it to fall is that we want to just put strings around it and then we pull physically, just to make sure that it doesn't break, because we want it to go in the museum. Yeah, we want to go to in the museum so that we are able to tell our children that, you see where Kakurugade Mungunda is standing as a furious warrior. They once stood a German guy, and we have removed that German guy in 2020 or 2021, and the German guy is now in the museum, so that children can go in and learn the history of what we were able to do. So we are going to do a series of political intervention, and you're going to, George at the end is going to articulate exactly what is going to happen. Now, of particular importance to us is WRT economic intervention. So we're doing a series of economic intervention. What we want to do mainly is to reorientate the economic machinery of the municipality from tendering to building the municipality capacity. So instead of giving out tenders, so the municipality must be able to do part of its work. Now, what we want then to do at the practical level, we're going to establish municipality-owned enterprises. Almost everything in the municipality is sent out on auction. Even just could drink water, everything is just a tender, a tender, a tender, a tender. Okay? The budget of the municipality is ranging between 4 to 6 billion. So over the past 6 months, we've been studying the finances of the municipality to try exactly and understand that procurement is part of the problem. Okay? That is why that the city is running in a deficit of about 400 million. So that basically means that your income, with the deficit, what it means is that if your income is 100 Namibian dollars, your expenses, what you spend, is 150. Therefore, your deficit is 50 Namibian dollars. You have to go and look for that 50 Namibian dollars. What is happening in the city of Windhoek is about, they would have a lot of this revenue that comes in, and that revenue have a shortfall. And that revenue have a shortfall of about 400 or so million. So they operate on deficit. It's technically insolvent in economic terms. Now, the city police, there are probably 100 or whatever the number of city police officials. So the city police, every city police officer has a uniform, probably 3 or 4 different types of uniform. From the boot, from the cap, from everything, yeah? From even the rings that they have, like the one that we're wearing. Eh? But all of that uniform come from outside Namibia. But our uniform is just made here by Ingo, here, just in Katutura here. Ingo made our uniform. But the city police can't make their own uniform. I'm sure we look better than the city police. Okay? But it's not only the city police, it's also the cleaners. They probably have 400 or 500 cleaners. The total number of employees of the city of Windhoek are 2,000 plus. The people that work there in the uniform that they are wearing. So what we are going to do is that we are going to ban all importation of uniform. Firstly, for the city of Windhoek. So if your cousin is having that tender, you guys must already start planning alternative tenders, because we're going to stop that. How do we stop that? We are reopening Ramatex. Wow. We are reopening Ramatex and establishing what is called City Ramatex Manufacturing. So every street in Windhoek here, every street there's already a meme that makes a clothes. Yeah? But we still go and import the uniform. So what is going to be happening is that the uniform of the city police, the uniform of the cleaners, the uniform of the general workers, the uniform of those bus drivers, you know they are always wearing uniform. All uniform that is going to be used by the city of Windhoek is going to be produced at Ramatex. So that money that we used to spend to entrepreneurs to fly around and do all sorts of things is no longer going to be spent out. So we are going to have a factory. You remember now, if you have to produce all those uniforms, it requires a lot of labor-intensive intervention. So the reopening of Ramatex will be our strategic intervention for job creation. I mean, Ramatex is there, it's standing. So it's not even going to cost us. The amount of money that is spent on tendering would be used to buy machineries so that we can provide real jobs. Economies is not built by us with PhD. Economies is built by people who do practical work. So for a young man and woman who have done dressmaking, for a member who once worked at Ramatex and never been employed ever since, for this opportunity to come for them to go and work at Ramatex again and feed their children, that to us would be an ultimate measure of happiness. Somebody who didn't have anything and moving to a direction of when they are actually having something. So we're going to bend all that specific aspect. So every time when you pass by Ramatex in Khomasdan, start already imagining people going to work. And what does it mean when you have people going to work? It means that if you are selling fat cooks, if you are selling what, it means that you are able to at least be able to do something. Now, if the municipality can put a dustbin at your door, and then you pay per month, what if the municipality can put a security guard at your door? Then you pay per month. Then you know when you go to work, your house is secure. I mean, if they can do it for a dustbin, if the municipality can put a dustbin at your door for you to put in rubbish, how about somebody that you can speak to? Somebody that can call you. The dustbin will never call you and say, your neighbor put rubbish in your dustbin. But the security guard will call you and say, there is somebody here, say, who is apparently claiming to be your brother, and you know that you don't have a brother, you only have sisters. So what we are doing, we are establishing what is called city securities. Now, city security is that we want our streets to be safe. And our street can never be made safe by the military that is beating up people. Our street can be safe when we have a specific intervention and we put security in the socialization of the residents of the city. Why is it private security is just limited to all these guys that even they go and buy all sorts of things but they don't pay their security guards? So we want to recruit 3,000 men and women, and we know that these things, we had time to think about these things, how practical they are. So what is basically going to be happening is that we are going to have all those security guards. They are going to be, if you are interested, and in fact we did a survey.
We do that in Cape Town.
Yeah, we did a survey, and in our survey we went to ask people that own houses, and we asked them, not only whether you are interested, we also ask them how much they are willing to pay per month. I know of institutions, particular institution of higher learning, that pay a security company 2.5 million per month. So what we are going to do is that we're going to make it difficult for those guys, because what we have no profit motive as a municipality. We're simply going to say, so you pay this guy 2.5 million per month, just pay us 1.5 million. Particularly in the financial crisis when the institutions are struggling, it will be a fool who would reject a 1 million reduction in the security services. So what we're basically going to be doing, not only are we going to provide security to individual households, we are also going to be participating in a private market security. So if the ministry or Coca-Cola or whoever needs a security guard, so then that's what is going to be basically happening there. So that we, again, complementing what Ramatex is doing, so that we are also able to absorb many young people who are hopeless, or who are now involved in crime and all those things. Michael the other day was saying he was robbed, and then he's saying, but he understands why those guys broke into his factories, because there were no other means of doing whatever they want to do. Now, again, what if your toilet is not working and you don't have money? And you just call a municipality. Then the municipality sends a plumber to fix your toilet. You don't have money, you pay the end of the month as part of your bill. What if your bulb is not working? Now you are basically at the mercy of this capitalist. The capitalist will never do any arrangement for you to pay at the end of the month. But if a municipality is able to provide a service by sending you a plumber, by sending you an electrician, by sending you somebody, a carpenter, by sending you, and then obviously after the work is done, you simply just sign the receipt, and then you are billed at the end of the month. Why do we have Windhoek Vocational Training Center and the municipality is unable to articulate any position as far as VTC is concerned? So what is going to happen is that immediately once we take over, we're going to seek a meeting with WVTC. We're going to say to WVTC and say, give me your best carpenters. Give me your best, if you have 100 of them, I just want to take 20 of them. They are going to be in the employment of the municipality. Give me your 20 plumbers to come and work in the municipality. So that if you are in VTC, you are now encouraged to work hard, because we are going to establish what is called city construction and household services. So that you call the municipality when you need your toilet to be fixed, when your electricity is malfunctioning, or whatever the case may be. Okay? So remember that if those street lights they've given out on tender to somebody to fix those street lights, it will be municipality officials that are going to be fixing those street lights, and not those stories of tendering and things like that. Now, the reason why housing is a problem is because housing finance as a whole has been left to the private sector. And do you know that you could actually negotiate your interest rate? Yeah? There is what is called repo rate. You remember a bank, the FNB takes money from Bank of Namibia. And Bank of Namibia expect interest for these guys to pay. The rate at which they are going to retain, the interest that the FNB is going to pay to Bank of Namibia is called repo rate. What the banks do when they loan you money, they add something on top. Okay, that is what now is called the interest rate that you now have. So if the repo rate currently stands at 9 point something, isn't it? Or is it 10? Repo rate. It's actually 6.5. Yeah. So in other words, the bank, if the bank borrows 1 million from, if a bank borrows, the interest is going to be less. If a bank borrows money from Bank of Namibia, the interest rate is only at 6%. But when you borrow money from the bank, they charge you maybe 12 or 11.5%. Okay? So housing finance as a whole has been left to this private sector. So what we are going to be doing, and we have been having a lot of meetings with the Bank of Namibia and all these guys. Of course, they didn't know what we are thinking. So we wanted to establish a building society for quite a number of times. And there are many institutions that we have established successfully. We have established People's Litigation Center that is giving them a lot of headache out there. It's functioning on its own, it's independent of us. Building societies, some of the institutions we have retained them. So we are going to establish a city building society. So what you basically do that, now if you want a 500,000 for you to build your house as a loan, you are now going, and you are in Windhoek, you are now going to have two options. You can go to the Bank of Bank Windhoek or FNB and borrow money and then be charged at the highest interest that you can find. Or you can come to the City Building Society, whose interest is probably just going to be even below the repo rate. So what we want to do is we take, for example, we take 50 million and then we put it in the City Building Society. Then you go to the municipality and say, I want a loan to build my house, instead of the bank. Because the bank says you must have life cover, you must have all these other things, you must do also a series of things, they must do evaluation, and all those long processes. The land is ours. We run it as a municipality. Why is it that we are unable to help our people? So once we have this building society that is run by the municipality, so we're going to give you land. After giving you land, we send you to the City Building Society, and then they give you a loan. After the City Building Society gives you a loan, and City Construction goes and builds the house for you. Do you know what that basically means? It means that there's no tendering of the land and all these other things, PPP, auction and all those things. It means the bank is removed from the transaction. It means this so-called developer also removed from the transaction. That is what is meant by radical transformation because we are fundamentally changing the patterns of how these things are done. And if Pau Pau here writes a letter to the municipality and say, municipality, I want to build a mall. Okay, you are Langa Haikari, you want to build Groove Mall. Now you don't have money yet. You don't have land. You go to municipality and write to them, you give them a proposal that you want to write, you want to build Groove Mall. The municipality gives you a letter and say, fine, we are ready to give you the land. You take the very letter that you get from the municipality and you take it to GIPF. GIPF give you money and then you build Groove Mall. We are saying, so it can happen. So instead of writing a letter to somebody that they can take to GIPF, we as a municipality approach GIPF ourselves. And say, Chief, we want to build a mall in Havana. It's not white people that buy in PEP in Havana. White people go to Edgar's. It's people who take taxis from Havana all the way to go to Groove Mall. Why is it that the municipality cannot own its own mall in Havana and many other places like that? So city property development, it basically means that the municipality is going to be building industries. We have northern and southern industry built a long time, but we don't have eastern and western industry. So Ramatex is going to start as being part of the industries that we want to do. Now, City Cycling is one of the companies that we also want to establish the municipality-owned enterprises. Now, City Cycling, what is going to be happening is that we want to bring in or assemble 5,000 bicycles. Those students that are struggling must be able to go with the bicycles because the bicycle doesn't ask for fuel. They must be able to go to these places freely. We must build bicycle lines, just like how it's happening to many other places. Who says if you are a manager you can't? I mean, some of you, you just work, you live in Eros and you just work in town. Imagine some guy who work for GIPF and just here GIPF and they are in Eros. They must drive. Just because it is the only, people think it's the only way. But if you put a bicycle there, you are going to be fit. Yeah? So those are the types of interventions. So I was just taking you through in some of the municipality-owned enterprises that we are going to do so that we are able to do that. Why are we going all out with this type of intervention? It's because of what we want to do. We want to reduce rate and taxes by 12%. You know, if you buy a house, I mean, you find somebody, you are in Commasdal, and you only pay rate and taxes maybe 1,500. Or even more. You don't understand. When you pay for water, you understand, isn't it? When you pay for things that you have used, just by having a house, you are guilty of having a house in Windhoek. Therefore, you pay for that house. And that is what the municipality keep increasing now and then because they have the power. Because the thinking, the tactical sophistication is not there. The only thing that you do, you just increase the rate and taxes. So we want to cut that by 12%. And you can calculate already for yourself for what you pay. If we are able to succeed and win this, it basically means that we want to put money back in your pocket. Now, whether it's Papke Bits or Van der Merwe, including Geinkop himself, they are all going to benefit from that reduction because if we are mayor of Windhoek, you know, as mayor, people are saying, no, go to parliament and all those things. We want to demonstrate to young people. Why must I take George to parliament when I did not give him an opportunity to do something in the local authorities? When I did not give him an opportunity to do something, I must give an opportunity to the youth in Rundu to do something in their community before they can go anywhere. In fact, at any given time, a minister who does, whether you are a minister or director general of intelligence, the municipality only have customer numbers. So there's a customer number that you have. If you don't pay your water, I cut them off. It doesn't matter who you think you are. You know, it's going to be nice to cut off water of the Tunga or all this. So those are the type of economic intervention that we do because in the time of crisis, it does not make sense when you just make life difficult for others. If we are saying that we must tighten our belt, we must be able to at least say, since we are tightening our belt, at least give an opportunity for the citizen, for the residents of the city to be able to say at least, yeah, we ran this campaign in 2020. We ran a successful campaign. As a result of that campaign, my rate and taxes have reduced. A 300 reduction in rate and taxes for a meme in Katutura, it may not mean anything to you, but it means everything to such a person.